My name's Stephen Curtin. I am currently a front of house engineer for the most part. I occasionally do monitors still when it suits me, and I've been in the industry for about 15 years as far as touring goes, and pretty much all of that 15 years has been with or through Eighth Day Sound. The first real inclination that I when I was younger, probably when I started working around 15, I worked at a theme park in Aurora, Ohio, called Geauga Lake, and we were all kind of one department. It was an entertainment department. I was a costume character, but we did the shows. We had two theaters, an indoor and an outdoor one, and we did the shows there. And a friend of mine was the sound engineer. We'll do that in quotations. He was kind of loosely the sound engineer, and he was always late to work, so I was always on time. He would call me and always ask me to go start the shows or go do, and I had no idea what I was doing, but I had fun doing it. So that's kind of where everything kind of started for me. When I would consider myself actually an engineer or mixing engineer, would probably be in around 2002 or 3 is when I first got my first actual mixing gig on a tour, and kept it from there. You know, the biggest thing for me was the people that I ended up being around consistently on tours, and you know, some of those people, Tom Marco had put me in the right position. Right? He would get me out on the tours with the right people there for me to learn from, and some of the guys that have been at Eighth Day forever, like Mark Burnich, he was, you know, he knew everything, and I was trying to absorb as much as I could. So I think learning a lot from those guys, and one of my engineer mentors was always and still is Tim Kovard, and those guys were the guys that would like take you under their wing and just say, okay, if you want to learn, I'll teach you. When the opportunities came up, those guys were the ones that said, Steve can do that. And I remember one of my biggest moments was, I was at the shop and Tom came in the back and he said, hey, I have a gig, it's a monitor gig, and I need you to go do it. It's for Whitney Houston. And I was like, well, okay. What, you know, nervous about details and everything. And he said, he goes, I just talked to Tim, and Tim said you can handle it. So if Tim says you can handle it, I think you can handle it. And I worked for her up until she passed. We did a couple years of one-offs, and then did the last tour, and you know, it was like a very eye-opening moment for me to go from mixing some other bands to one of the greatest, you know, that's ever graced the stage.